Have you ever wondered why some people crumble the moment life gets hard, while others rise stronger? Almost unshakable? What if I told you that the very obstacles you fear are not your enemies, but the secret path to your greatest strength? Marcus Aurelius once said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." It sounds paradoxical, almost insane. Yet hidden in these words lies a truth that can change how you see every challenge in your life. Because maybe it's not success, comfort, or luck that shapes you, but resistance, hardship, and pain. And if you dare to face them, you may discover that the obstacle is not blocking your path. It is the path. Imagine a rough, unpolished stone. At first glance, it looks ordinary, almost worthless. But under the hands of a skilled craftsman, through strikes, friction, and endless pressure, that stone slowly transforms into a diamond. Life works in the same way. The storms, the struggles, the pain we desperately try to avoid, they're the chisels shaping us into something stronger, brighter, more resilient. Seneca once said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." Think about it. Muscles do not grow without resistance. If you only lift what feels light and easy, your body never changes. The same is true for your soul. Without obstacles, without resistance, your inner strength will remain weak, fragile, untested. I remember a colleague of mine. He was drowning in deadlines, overwhelmed by tasks piling up one after another. Most people would have broken under that pressure. Yet instead of panicking, he chose to stay calm, breaking the mountain of work into smaller pieces, tackling one step at a time. The pressure didn't disappear, but his response changed. In the end, not only did he deliver on time, he also discovered a deeper skill, the ability to master time, instead of being crushed by it. Or consider another story, a man who lost a large investment overnight. At first, the devastation was unbearable: sleepless nights, self-doubt, the gnawing pain of failure. But slowly, he realized something profound. Money had been his false anchor. Losing it forced him to detach his happiness from wealth and redirect his focus toward what truly lasts: skills, relationships, and inner discipline. Ironically, the very loss that broke him became the seed of a greater freedom. These stories are not just about work or money. They are metaphors for life itself. Every storm is like a test of roots. Picture a tree standing in the middle of a violent storm. Branches whip, leaves scatter, but the roots? They dig deeper into the earth, gripping stronger than ever. And when the storm passes, the tree doesn't just survive, it thrives. The same applies to us. When chaos hits, when pain arrives, we have two choices: resist and break, or endure and grow deeper roots. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his Meditations, "The impediment to action advances action." What stands in the way becomes the way. What seems like an obstacle is actually an invitation. That broken relationship may be a lesson in self-worth. That rejection may redirect you to the path you were meant to walk. That failure may be the training ground for your eventual greatness. But here's the paradox: we spend most of our lives avoiding the very things that could transform us. We seek comfort, certainty, ease. We chase what feels safe. And in doing so, we often remain unshaped, untested, unready for the storms that will inevitably come. The truth is, your obstacles are not random punishments. They are opportunities. They are weights, resistance, storms, designed not to destroy you, but to reveal what you're truly made of. So the next time life feels heavy, the next time you find yourself at the edge of despair, remember the diamond. Born through pressure, remember the tree, strengthened through storms, and remember that you are no different. The obstacle in front of you is not there to block your journey. It is the journey. The Stoics believed life itself is a constant battlefield, not against other people, not against the world outside, but against the turbulence within our own minds. Think of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, the most powerful man of his time. He commanded armies, ruled vast lands, and yet, his greatest writings are not about politics or conquest. They are intimate reflections, reminders to himself. He wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." What does this mean? That the events of life, rejection, loss, chaos, are neutral. They have no built-in meaning. It's our judgment, our interpretation, that turns them into suffering. You lose money, and one man calls it the end of the world, another calls it a lesson, a chance to grow stronger. The event is the same. The difference lies in the mind. Seneca expanded on this idea with sharp clarity. He said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Think about that. How many nights have you stayed awake, replaying scenarios that never actually happened? How many times have you feared rejection, humiliation, failure, only to find that the real event was far lighter than the shadows you built in your mind? The Stoics remind us, most of our pain is self-inflicted. We carry burdens that don't even exist outside our imagination. Epictetus, born a slave, understood this truth in his bones. He had nothing, no wealth, no status, no freedom, yet he discovered a freedom far greater, the ability to master his own mind. He taught, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Pause on that, because it's easy to read, but hard to live. When someone insults you, your first reaction is anger. You want to strike back, defend yourself, prove them wrong. But Epictetus says, the insult itself is powerless. It's your choice, your reaction, that gives it strength. If you choose calm, the insult dies. If you choose anger, the insult owns you. Now, here's the heart of Stoicism, the dichotomy of control. The Stoics divided life into two categories: what is in our control, and what is not. What's in our control? Our thoughts, our actions, our choices. What's not? The weather, other people's opinions, the economy, even the inevitability of death. Most people live upside down, obsessing over what they cannot control, while neglecting the only power they truly have, their own mind. You can't stop the storm, but you can decide how to sail through it. You can't prevent aging, but you can decide how to live each day with dignity. This is why Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. But Stoicism is not about suppressing emotions. Many people misunderstand it as cold, robotic detachment. In truth, Stoicism is about training your emotions, the way an athlete trains his body. Think of a boxer in the ring. He doesn't avoid punches, he takes them, absorbs them, learns to stand firm. Likewise, the Stoic doesn't deny sadness, fear, or anger, he feels them, but he doesn't let them control him. This leads to another powerful insight: obstacles are not enemies, they are allies in disguise. When Marcus wrote, "What stands in the way becomes the way," he was revealing a secret of life, that every difficulty can be transformed into fuel for growth. Lost your job? It's an opportunity to build resilience, creativity, or even a new career path. Rejected by someone you love? It's a chance to rediscover your own worth, to love without losing yourself. Facing illness? It's an invitation to cultivate patience, gratitude, and the awareness that life is fragile and precious. Seneca urged us to practice this daily, what he called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. Imagine difficulties before they happen, not to torture yourself, but to train your mind. If you rehearse setbacks in your thoughts, then when they arrive, you're not shocked, you're ready, like a soldier who trains in peacetime, so he is not broken in war. Epictetus used to say, when you kiss your child goodnight, remind yourself that this child is mortal, not to become cruel or detached, but to love more deeply, to waste no time, to treasure each fleeting moment. This is not pessimism, it's clarity. Life is short, uncertain, fragile, and because of that, every sunrise, every embrace, every conversation is a gift. Now, let's connect this philosophy to the hidden triggers of attraction we explored earlier. Emotional certainty, presence, self-control, these are not tricks. They are Stoic virtues in action. A man who controls his emotions, who doesn't chase what he cannot control, who stands firm in storms, naturally radiates strength. Women, and people in general, are drawn to that stability. The Stoic man does not beg for love, he offers love without losing himself. He does not panic in rejection, he sees it as the turning of life's wheel. He does not crumble under tests, he smiles, steady and unshaken. And that is why Stoicism is not just ancient philosophy. It is timeless psychology. It teaches you to become the kind of person who doesn't just survive chaos, but uses chaos as the very material for greatness. Pause here and let this sink in. Because if the obstacle becomes the way, then the life you are living right now, with all its struggles, rejections, and storms, is not a curse. It is the raw material of your transformation. Like fire consuming wood, and growing stronger with every branch thrown into it, the Stoic uses every challenge as fuel. Nothing is wasted. So, the next time you feel life pressing down on you, remember Marcus, Seneca, Epictetus. Remember that you are not powerless. Remember that the battlefield is not outside, but within. And remember that you always have the choice to turn suffering into strength and obstacles into the way forward. When I first came across Stoicism, I'll be honest, I didn't get it. The words sounded profound, almost poetic, but also distant. Marcus Aurelius writing about controlling the mind, or Seneca reminding us that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. They were beautiful ideas. But could they really help me? Could they actually shape the way I lived? I remember one particular season of my life. I was juggling too many responsibilities at once. Work was suffocating me, family expectations were piling up, and deep inside, I felt like I was failing at everything. Every little mistake became a storm in my head. I would lie awake at night, replaying the day over and over, judging myself harshly. That's when I stumbled on Epictetus' line, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." At first, I brushed it off. Too simple, I thought. But one evening, after a long and frustrating day, those words returned to me. I realized I couldn't control the deadlines, the moods of others, or even the curveballs life kept throwing. But I could control how I responded. So I started experimenting. Instead of panicking at every new problem, I paused. I told myself, this is not good or bad. It just is. How will I respond? That pause, that little moment of breathing space, changed everything. Problems no longer swallowed me whole. They became puzzles, challenges, even opportunities to test myself. And slowly, I began to notice something. People around me reacted differently too. Colleagues trusted me more. My family felt calmer around me. I wasn't radiating panic anymore. I was radiating steadiness. And people, without even realizing, are drawn to that. That's when I understood. Stoicism isn't about memorizing quotes. It's about training your nervous system. It's about rewiring how you meet reality. Seneca was right when he said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." I used to live trapped in my imagination, worrying about tomorrow's failures, replaying yesterday's mistakes. But once I caught myself, once I began to challenge those spirals, I saw how much unnecessary suffering I had been carrying. The actual events of life were heavy enough, but my mind had been multiplying the weight. And isn't that what so many of us do? We replay the breakup, not once but 100 times. We rehearse the rejection before it even happens. We carry ghosts of the past and shadows of the future. and we wonder why we're exhausted. Stoicism taught me a radical truth. The weight I carry is mostly self-made. And if I made it, I can put it down. But here's the thing, this isn't easy. It's not about reading a quote and suddenly becoming enlightened. It's a practice, a discipline. Some mornings, I still wake up anxious. Some days, anger still flares in me. But now, instead of being a prisoner to those emotions, I treat them like signals, like waves that rise and fall. I ride them, instead of letting them drown me. One exercise that changed me was Marcus Aurelius' reminder: you have power over your mind, not outside events. I started repeating it to myself whenever I felt overwhelmed. On a crowded train, in a stressful meeting, even during quiet moments of doubt. It became a mantra, almost like a shield. And you know what? It works. Not because life suddenly becomes easier, but because I stop fighting the wrong battles. I stop wasting energy trying to control what was never mine to control. Take relationships. For example, I used to think I had to manage how others saw me, how they felt about me, even how much they valued me. That constant effort was exhausting. But when I embraced the Stoic lens, I realized I can't control their opinions. I can only control my character, my integrity, my actions, and if I live aligned with my values, then I've already won. This shift brought me a strange kind of freedom. I no longer chased approval the same way. I no longer felt destroyed by rejection. And ironically, that very detachment made me more magnetic. Because people trust those who are steady, not desperate. They trust those who stand firm, even when the ground is shaking. Another personal shift was learning to embrace discomfort. Seneca's advice about practicing poverty, sleeping on the floor, eating simple food, wearing rough clothes, might sound extreme. But I tried a lighter version. I started taking cold showers. I walked to work even when it was inconvenient. I fasted occasionally. At first, it felt pointless. But over time, I realized it was training. Training my mind to see discomfort not as an enemy, but as a teacher. Now when life throws discomfort at me, when money is tight, when situations get messy, when uncertainty hits, I'm not as rattled. I've already rehearsed. I've already tasted discomfort by choice. So when it arrives uninvited, I can handle it. I think that's what Stoicism really is. It's not abstract philosophy, it's rehearsal for life. It's building emotional muscle before the storm arrives. And I can tell you, from my own experience, it works. Not perfectly, not overnight, but enough to change how I show up every single day. Looking back, I realized that the times I grew the most weren't when things were easy. They were when life tested me, when I felt cornered, broken, stripped of control. Those were the moments Stoicism whispered in my ear. This is the way. Don't run, use it. And each time I listened, each time I stood my ground, I discovered a little more strength than I thought I had. So here's my reflection. The Stoics weren't writing for ivory towers. They were writing for real life, for soldiers, emperors, slaves, and yes, for people like you and me. People who wake up with worries. People who feel the sting of rejection. People who carry invisible burdens. Their wisdom has survived for centuries, not because it's elegant, but because it's practical. Because when the storm hits, and it always will, Stoicism gives you a compass. And for me, it has been the difference between drowning in life and learning to sail. It's one thing to admire Stoic wisdom. It's another thing entirely to live it. Because reading Marcus Aurelius or Seneca feels inspiring, but unless we bring their words into the raw fabric of daily life, they remain just words. So how do we practice Stoicism? Here, today, in a world of noise, speed, and endless distractions? Let me share a few practices, simple, but powerful, that you can start using right now. 1. The pause before reaction. Epictetus taught, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. The key word here is react. Most of us live on autopilot. We react instantly, emotionally, often regretfully. Someone criticizes us, we snap back. Traffic cuts us off, we rage. Plans fail, we spiral into despair. The Stoic practice is simple: pause. When something stirs you, don't answer immediately. Take a breath, count to 3, say nothing. This pause creates a space, a tiny gap between the event and your response. And in that gap, you reclaim your freedom. Next time someone irritates you, don't rush to reply. Pause. Ask yourself, is this worth my peace? Is this under my control? That single pause can turn an enemy into a teacher, and a trigger into a lesson. 2. Negative visualization, premeditatio malorum. Seneca advised, he robs present ills of their power who has perceived their coming beforehand. This means, imagine the worst, not to suffer twice, but to prepare. Each morning, spend 2 minutes visualizing what could go wrong. Picture the meeting running late, the friend canceling plans, the project failing. Then remind yourself, even if this happens, I will endure, I will adapt. This practice transforms fear into familiarity. Suddenly, obstacles don't shock you anymore. You've already rehearsed. Like a soldier drilling before battle, you're ready when the real fight comes. 3. Practicing voluntary discomfort. The Stoics often challenged themselves with small hardships. Seneca would sleep on a hard floor, eat plain food, wear rough clothes. Why? To remind himself that luxury is not necessity, and that comfort is not guaranteed. You can try the same in lighter ways. Take a cold shower. Leave your phone behind for a day. Walk instead of driving. Skip a meal and sit with hunger. These acts are not punishment, they are training. Training your mind to see discomfort as harmless, even strengthening. So when life does bring discomfort, illness, rejection, loss, you will not collapse. You will say, I've tasted this before, I can bear it. 4. The Journal of Reflection. Marcus Aurelius wrote his meditations not for an audience, but for himself, a private journal of reminders. You can do the same. At night, take 5 minutes to reflect. Ask yourself, what did I do well today? Where did I lose my composure? How can I improve tomorrow? Writing down these thoughts is like sharpening a blade. Slowly, you cut away illusions and excuses. Over time, your mind becomes clearer, steadier. 5. The discipline of control. The Stoics divided life into 2 categories: what is within our control, and what is not. This single idea can free you from endless frustration. When something troubles you, ask, is this mine to control? The weather? Not mine. The economy? Not mine. Another person's opinion? Not mine. My actions? My words? My choices? Yes. The discipline is to focus only on the last category. When you stop wasting energy on the uncontrollable, you gain immense strength. Your mind becomes like a fortress, guarded from the storms outside. 6. Daily acts of virtue. Stoicism isn't just about surviving pain, it's about living with virtue. Marcus Aurelius wrote, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. So ask yourself, what is one act of courage, justice, wisdom, or self-control I can do today? Courage. Speak the truth, even if it's uncomfortable. Justice. Help someone without expecting reward. Wisdom. Choose patience over anger. Self-control. Say no to an impulse that weakens you. Virtue, practiced daily, becomes character, and character is the only wealth that cannot be stolen. 7. Evening review and gratitude. Before bed, review your day like a Stoic philosopher, but also with gratitude. Instead of only noticing failures, notice the gifts. Food on your table, a roof above, people who care. Gratitude softens the soul. It turns even hardship into blessing. As Epictetus said, he is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. Bringing it all together, These practices may seem small, but small seeds grow mighty trees. Imagine if, every day, you paused before reacting, visualized challenges, embraced discomfort, wrote your reflections, focused on what's under your control, acted with virtue, and ended with gratitude. Would your life not transform? Would you not feel lighter, freer, steadier in the face of storms? The truth is, Stoicism isn't about removing obstacles. It's about removing illusions. The illusion that comfort is permanent, that control is infinite, that pain is the end. What remains, once the illusions are stripped away, is freedom. And you don't need a lifetime to begin. You need a single day, a single practice, repeated until it becomes part of you. Because in the end, philosophy is not in books. It's in the choices you make when the world tests you. We've spoken about obstacles, about how they are not the end of the path, but the path itself. We've looked at Stoic practices, from pausing before reaction to journaling at night. But let's step back for a moment and ask the deeper question. Why does all of this matter? Because at the core of Stoicism lies a truth so simple, yet so easily forgotten. Life is not about avoiding pain, but about transforming through it. The illusion of control. Most of us live chasing control. We think if we just plan better, work harder, or arrange every detail, nothing bad will happen. But the Stoics remind us, the universe owes us nothing. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. This is the crack in the illusion. When we cling to control over things we cannot command, we suffer twice, first from the event, then from our resistance to it. But when we surrender that illusion, suddenly, life feels lighter. Think about it. The storm doesn't ask your permission. The loss doesn't knock politely. The rejection doesn't schedule itself on your calendar. They arrive when they arrive. The only constant you have is your mind, your response. And if you can master that, if you can stand calm while the world spins, then you are free. No matter what chains surround you. Time, the silent teacher. Another thread woven into Stoic thought is time. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." How many hours slip through your fingers each week, scrolling, worrying, chasing things that add no weight to your soul? How often do we act as if life is endless, when in reality, every breath could be the last? The Stoics urge us to hold death not as a morbid fear, but as a compass. Memento mori, remember you must die, not to paralyze, but to awaken. Because if you truly knew the value of each moment, how would you live differently today? Would you hold grudges so tightly? Would you waste hours on anger or vanity? Or would you forgive quicker, love deeper, act bolder? Time is the great equalizer. Rich or poor, strong or weak, all of us are given the same currency each dawn. The difference lies not in how much we receive, but in how consciously we spend it. From the self to the world. There's also a danger to think Stoicism is only about the self. About my calm, my strength, my peace. But Marcus reminds us, what is not good for the hive is not good for the bee. Stoicism is not selfish detachment. It is a philosophy that ties us back into the fabric of humanity. My resilience isn't just for me, it's so I can be a better friend, parent, citizen, leader. If I master anger, I bring less violence into the world. If I master greed, I bring more justice into society. If I master fear, I inspire courage in those around me. The Stoic path is not an escape, it's a return. A return to the truth that your inner life shapes the outer world. That each choice you make, in patience, in kindness, in discipline, ripples outward beyond what you can see. Living philosophy, not quoting philosophy. We live in an age of quotes. Instagram feeds, Twitter posts, motivational reels. A line from Marcus here, a line from Seneca there. They feel good to read, but the danger is mistaking inspiration for transformation. Stoicism only breathes when practiced, not in perfect conditions, but in the messy, unpredictable chaos of daily life. When your child screams at midnight, that's where Stoicism lives. When your boss criticizes unfairly, that's where Stoicism lives. When your plans collapse, your heart breaks, your path crumbles, that's where Stoicism lives. It is not about looking wise in conversation, it's about becoming wise in silence. In action, in being, the eternal conversation. And so we see, Stoicism isn't just ancient wisdom. It's a conversation across centuries. Marcus, Seneca, Epictetus, they spoke not just for Rome, but for us. They wrestled with the same fears, the same griefs, the same fragile hope that we carry now. When Marcus wrote in his tent during war, when Seneca consoled himself in exile, when Epictetus, once a slave, taught freedom of the soul, they were whispering across time, whispering to you. And the whisper says, you are stronger than you think. Your pain is not meaningless. Your obstacles are the forge of your soul, a bridge to the next step. So where does this leave us? With a challenge, not to admire the Stoics, but to join them, to see each hardship not as curse, but as chance, to live more deliberately, more virtuously, more awake. Because the question is not whether life will test you, it will. The question is, when it does, will you be ready? This is where our journey continues. We've looked at obstacles, philosophy, and daily practice, but in the next step, we'll go deeper into the art of mastering emotions, anger, fear, envy, the very storms that threaten to sink us from within. If the obstacle is the path, then emotions are the waves we must learn to sail. And the Stoics, once again, left us maps. If you've made it this far, it means something in you is searching. Searching for strength, for clarity, for a way to face life without being broken by it. And that's exactly what Stoicism offers, not empty promises, but tools to live with courage, discipline, and peace. So here's my challenge to you. Don't just watch this video, practice it. The next time life places a stone in your path, don't curse it. Don't run from it, step onto it, let it lift you higher. And if this message spoke to you, share it. Leave a comment below. Tell me about an obstacle you once thought would break you, but instead shaped you. Your story might be the spark that helps someone else keep going. And if you want to keep walking this journey with me, hit subscribe. Because every week we uncover more wisdom from the Stoics, lessons not just to think about, but to live by. This is the Stoic journey, and remember, the obstacle is not the end of your path. It is the path.